Hey Ines, how you been?
I have been fine. Thank you. Good morning, Thor. God, it's great to see you. Really,
Great to
really
see you
good.
too.
Your smiling face, optimism.
Yeah, well, it's another week. It's another Friday of sun, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And it's the
Yeah.
Friday of lessening of the lockdown, which is great. I love to see the people outdoors.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
little town where I am, they had balloons all over the place and
Did
da da da
they?
da da. Yeah. Ha!
That's quite cute, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
it's cute. Yeah, it is.
welcoming back into the stores and back into
Yeah.
life, I suppose, you know.
Absolutely. No, it's all good. No, it's so good to see you.
Good
And
to
I
see
hope
you
your
too.
week's been good.
Yeah, I've been hitting the gym a couple of times, which has been
Yeah.
amazing, you know, seeing
Yeah.
my friends again, which has been really good getting back into that. You know, I don't mind a sort of simple lifestyle of being at home and exercising at home, but at the same time, I do also enjoy going down to the gym and meeting different people and
Yeah.
having just a tiny bit of variety is good.
Yeah, it's the interaction.
Yeah.
Just it's yeah, so important.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I can be quite of like a simple hermit, but I do also appreciate a tinge of variety.
Mm. I can be both a simple and a hermit. I can be both, whatever fits. Yes, it works. Yeah, try to make it work.
It does work. It definitely does work. So, what are we talking about this week? What's the
Well,
theme?
well, the theme basically is to keep going. Is to really to keep going. Keep going in life, and that life is a struggle, or it can be a struggle at least. I'm hoping there's a vast amount of people who are tuning in who, oh, this doesn't apply to me. Fab, absolute fab. But we do have a lifespan, and that lifespan is a learning program. That lifespan, just to sort of fit it in a little bit, we can be born, we can have a very, very short life, or it can be a very long life as well. But it's still a lifespan. And in that lifespan, we have a program, a learning program. The end result of why there's a learning curve or why it's necessary, no one can actually answer because it really can't be put into words. However, all things in life that occur in life are absolutely positively necessary and very needed to complete that learning purpose within our lifespan. Now, where life sometimes becomes really desperate, and it will, but life in that area will also, and can also move up again. And life will become strong, it will become positive, and it will become worthwhile again. In other words, what we're saying is important to keep our life in some form of perspective. We have to try, if we can, to overcome that pattern of desperation that can sometimes take over. And that applies to all situations. Sometimes it's just, I don't know, somebody can just say something cruel, thoughtless, and that can send us all down the hill again. So let's keep our life in some form of perspective. We can't actually move away from our path of life because our path of life, who we are, the situations we're in, those are the challenges. And just again, just to sort of add something in, our challenges tend to be those closest to home. Because if it's close to home, it affects us more. If we don't care about something, it's not a challenge, is it? But we are able to distance ourselves for a while, perhaps, to regain that energy, to regain our equilibrium as well, and connect with that inner strength. It's such a word. Everybody talks about inner strength. And inner strength is literally to let go, to reflect, to maybe self-analyze on what has gone wrong, on how we are reacting to something. But we have that inner strength, we have that inner determination that lies within each and every individual. And of course, we achieve this through the calming of the mind. If you are a practitioner of healing or are interested in healing, in tarots, crystal energies, clairvoyance, and so on, you know this would apply to yourself. But whatever area of life we are involved in or moving through, the first area that always needs to be tackled is the physical mind. And that has to be brought to heel before anything else can actually be attempted. And that's finding that, finding that light, finding that calmness. It's one of the most difficult things that we actually are able to achieve. Meditation, there are zillions of books, fabulous methods. Did. But at the end of the day, it's only ourselves that can actually move with that form of relaxation or technique that allows the mind to calm. The technique is a tool. We are the method. We have to do it. We have to make it to happen. Anyway, the physical mind has to be tackled first, because if you're having real bad problems, really heavy problems, guess what? Zoom, zoom, zoom. That's why with Thor and myself, we have the visualization. We're giving you something else to think about. Even if it's when I was doing hypnotherapy, sometimes what really, really works is doing something stupid. Then the mind, God, yeah, that's not right. Poor grammar. Deliberately, you bring in a context that is challenging to the intellect of your own mind. That isn't right. No. What you're doing, though, is concentrating on the idiosyncrasy of what is being said and not on your problem. And that in itself already releases the stress, the overwork of your mind for that little period of time. And this would include decisions in our work, our own decisions that we sometimes have to make, the whole spectrum of life. That includes all of our emotions and dilemmas are in there as well. When we have tackled our physical mind, only then are we able to bring forward the quality of life within the perimeters and the boundaries that have been set within our own path of life. And there are perimeters. So meditation and relaxation, your method is very, very important. I do recommend, though, that you listen to Thor's online meditations. They're fabulous. Good voice, good context, and you will really, really, really benefit. We know that, obviously, I say this, or we say this every time, meditation calms the mind, releases stress, releases anxiety, but it also forms the foundation to regain control of your physical life. Very important. The quality of our life within the boundaries comes from a deep sense of understanding. The deep sense of understanding is ourself, what we perceive as correct. Meditation puts our emotions and thoughts into a different area of awareness to what is really important in life. What is important without going on is you have to pay the bills. We need friends. We need love, perhaps, if we can get it. Hamster, whatever might do as well. We need the basic fundamental situations of life, which is, of course, brings a form of security as well. But it also, relaxation also soothes the attitude of mind when our thoughts are out of control. And when we are then able, through that relaxation, to release all of these difficulties, the imbalances of confusion, the balances of overreaction, or overstimulation, when everything is going on around us, everything is going wrong, yet another thing. We can release that through the chakrams. And Thor, do you agree that we did this some time ago? Do you think we ought to, again, regain and reiterate and a little bit about opening the chakrams and then seeing the deluge or whatever coming out, and then you lead your wonderful meditation? Would that work for you?
Yeah, let's do that next time. I think that sounds like a great idea, because I mean, in so many ways, that is the clearing out your chakras is the beginning and end. And in so many ways, you can listen to this podcast until your face goes blue, but unless you meditate, it's not really going to integrate, is it?
Exactly. And what we're saying, spiritual link, that means if you're working in the spiritual areas, you still need that.
Yeah.
And doesn't matter what we call ourselves. Guess what? We gather garbage in our aura, in our thoughts, just by waking up. Something can go wrong, the smallest of things. And that is where we are able to help ourselves a little. Absolutely, I totally agree. Our emotional baggage is limitless, but the strength of our inner mind, would you believe, is also limitless. So there's a balance. We have a choice. Being in control of the emotional selves gives us the opportunity to seek and find the solutions that we might have actually been missing, because our mind is so blanked out with one worry or a multitude of worries. You see no way out. That guidance, whether you completely accept that or not, comes through only for the relaxed mind. That can be music, it can be the led meditations, it can be numerous situations, but it is there. Right now, whatever is on offer for any of us, whatever is made possible for any of us, we have to move forward to it to make the most of what we have at any given time. Not thinking perhaps of what we could have or what we might have, because if we do appreciate what we have right now, even teeny weeny itty bitty bit, other things do follow. What happens, I think I said this the last time, it could very, very well be that this is the lesson of our life. When often the question, well, what is my lesson? Bring it on. It is on. It's full face on, because we have to deal with our own self, with our own limitations, with the restrictions, with the rejections, with the dilemma of just living, keeping our body going. So I'm going to ask you too, Thor, because you're very, very deep, and you are involved in mental well-being, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. The question, what is important? What would you put on top of the list, apart from, and not apart from? I mean, we have the fundamentals of needing to survive, don't we? To live somewhere, to eat, maybe to find some relationship or so on. What would you put on top of your list?
Very good question, Ines. Thank you for asking. What would I put on top of my list? I suppose I would put health at the top of my list as my main priority. And then probably secondly, because we are social beings, even though I like to be a simple hermit at times, we are social beings. I think like probably second would be like meaningful connections with other people, because I
Yeah.
think having a meaningful connection, because I think we have a lot of, I wonder if we have a lot of shallow connections with other people, but I think
Yes.
it's important to have like really deep, meaningful connections with other people. I think we need it as human beings. I think we
Yeah.
desperately need that. And I suppose why, in so many ways, mental health and such thing as that has been on the rise over the pandemic is because people haven't been able to connect with other people in a meaningful way and been isolated, right? So yeah, I think second is meaningful connections with other people.
I totally agree with you. I think I've mentioned on our podcast that I work a few days a week in a care home, and I work with a lot of Asian individuals. And what I really, really, really like is their family orientation, which can make me very jealous. It's against, let's say, our culture as such for let's say mother and father. Then you have the siblings are say older already. They may also have a family. They may be working, but they're together.
Yeah.
And that gives a feeling of security. It's also, I'm not saying they don't have squabbles, not that I'm involved in them or know of them, but then also normal individuals. But to have that connection, to know that somebody's in the next room that you can call on, I think is wonderful. And I think society now, I can only speak of, say, the West, if you call it that. Our jobs are in other countries. The parents, the aunties, the cousins are left behind. So there's no network anymore, support that if you need just to be helped on your own, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
If you have children, there's no one to back you up
Yeah.
on a bad day. There's nothing.
Yeah.
And I think this community, as you said, something meaningful, doesn't mean we always get on. I don't think that's the issue always. But the support, I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, and I mean that's
Really,
why.
yeah.
So yeah, that's why I always, for example, enjoyed going to your group, because
Thank you.
it is a community, right? It's
Yeah,
you're
totally.
part of a circle, or part of a
Yeah.
group, part of a community. That's also the sport that I do is also very community based,
Yes.
and I love that because everybody comes
Yes.
together and we do it together, and you have
Yeah.
that sort of
Yes.
shared experience. So yeah,
Yeah.
I've always been someone who seeks out communities because I am,
Yes.
although I'm Norwegian and sort of raised in a quite individualistic society, I know that I naturally seek out community and
Yes.
connection with other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yes, absolutely. I'm like that too. When our podcast comes up and when I prepare for it, I know so going to look forward to seeing you,
Mm,
hearing a little bit what's happening on your end type of thing. Okay, lockdown, we're sort of grabbing for little juicy bits of what did you do? Just in case you're missing out on doing something that you haven't thought of before. It's
mm,
so important. And the little meditation circles that we also have every other week, we've known them for what, 10, 15, 20 years and so on. It's
mm.
just nice. It's so
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
So absolutely. But what I was also thinking about, and this comes from speaking with a friend of ours, that, in family, there are always rifts. And it's not a matter of saying one rift is less than another rift. But, if we're at loggerheads, just imagine in that family, maybe the person that you have a problem with, maybe they become ill, maybe they die, maybe another member of this group or family becomes ill or dies. Death is natural, of course, but where is this, say, the issue, the resentment, or that you did this and you didn't give me a chance, or you didn't attend whatever, my birthday party? Is it so important? There should be somebody within that group who has the foresight just to try to let it go.
Mm,
Is it really that important? The
yeah.
family is important, isn't it? um, is that issue so important? Because people don't come back. It's I was just having a cup of coffee this morning, and I saw the preparations on BBC for Prince Philip's funeral, of course, and Harry and come on, long word, Harry and
Megan? No,
no, she's in the States. She's in the States.
she's
William and Harry.
William.
But would you believe in the middle there is somebody else? First of all, I don't think you wash your dirty linen in public.
Yeah,
You can talk maybe to a friend and air your views to get it off your chest. You don't do it in front of the world.
yeah,
Not a good thing to be, not with, people that are well known.
yeah.
So, but something has to happen that somewhere along the line that is just eased a little bit. That's all it is. But that's not my opinion. But what about the little things that are so important? We have if you have sight, if you have hearing, if you can smell, taste, all of those things. If you have a full tummy, if you can eat, if you have a place to live, which comes in varying degrees of opulence, of course, but is it warm? Do you have it? Do you have to worry about that? That's what is important in life.
Mm.
I totally agree with you. If you chose one, it has to be health.
Has to be health.
Has to be health.
Yeah.
Because then if you don't have health, you can even whine about something else.
Yeah, yeah, it has to be health. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it has
interesting
to be,
that
yeah.
thing you said about having a home and all that kind of thing, though. I think an interesting factor which comes into play there is social expectations, right? Is that I think society has created these expectations of,
Yeah.
I like the word you used, opulence.
Yes.
I don't think I've heard that word before, because I suppose that's different degrees of wealth, right? Is that
Yes,
what it
yes,
means?
it is. Yes.
Yeah, and I suppose everybody is trying to strive for extreme wealth, and in the long term, that will just it won't make it. I mean, it will obviously make life easier,
Yeah.
but it doesn't necessarily make you any more content, happy, or
No.
anything like that.
No, only one meal at a time.
Yeah.
One car at a time, one house at a time, even if there's a toothbrush in every single one of them, whatever you have.
Yeah.
However, what you quite rightly said, I'm talking about everybody. We are so pressurized in looking like somebody else, certain age, weight, sometimes ethnicity as well. And then what kind of job have you got? Your education, which can either categorize you as a nobody. However, if you're nobody and by luck or by effort and luck, you become a billionaire, you're a somebody. But it has to always equate to finance, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you're able to actually get on with your life, how much is that worth compared to somebody's Bitcoin account? You know,
Yeah.
which also is sort of in the air. I can't take
Yeah.
it to Sainsbury's. You know, I can't take it any place.
Not now, not yet, at least.
Yeah, but it's the pressure. It's the pressure of age as well. Either you're too young, you're too old. In the middle, you should have already have everything, you know, and you have to also your relationships. When we say be yourself, be happy with what you've got, because that's what we've got. What was I going to say, Thor? You know, I used to do some groups in very difficult areas. Difficult, I'm meaning they were all housing estates, and they were so the income level was restricted, and their life was restricted because some of them didn't even have a writing and reading skills, so their life was restricted in that situation. But you know, and this wasn't put on by these individuals, I have seldom seen happier individuals. There was, I don't know, deep down, but they had a smile on their face. They were welcoming. And I always marveled, and I still think of them, how they were able to have such an refreshing attitude when in conventional situations, everything was stacked against them. They shared. I think it's remarkable.
Yeah, that is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. But you know, life is a struggle. We said it last week. It's meant to be.
Yeah.
But it's a struggle for everyone. And even though when you said about money and so on, well, you know, fine. But money is not it's a privilege. It's just a sideline of the karmic pattern. So if you don't have it this time, we need to learn. So we also need to learn what is a God. What am I going to do with all this money? You know. So anyway, we don't have it. But believe in yourself, believe in your purpose, and believe in who and what you are. Regain your inner strength, regain your own determination to go on, and that is where we then find that individuality and your own self-worth, our individual self-worth, that will lead us to our dreams. There was, speaking of the individuality and inner strength, did you hear about that young man who was, he had a successful business? He was the younger, he's 23. So he must have been 22 at the time. And it was, they're working on promoting very wealthy clients, well-known wealthy clients. And his partner was older, much older, and he was able to bring in all of the clientele. So anyway, the partner left, leaving the 23-year-old. And he said, this was on BBC, and he said, I thought I would just have to close it, you know, close my business, because I couldn't, he said, I can't do it on my own. I don't have the connections. And he spoke to his father, and the father said to him, why don't you look at your pluses, your bonuses? What have you got that is you? What is your individuality? And what came out of it, his individuality was his youth. His individuality was his inexperience. His individuality was the ability to take a chance, because you only do that when you're really young and perhaps stupid, because you don't necessarily see the outcome of total disaster, which is good. That he put forward to the clients who he had who he thought are going to leave, and he has made a big success.
Amazing.
He said, I'm 23, I have no experience. He said, I go along, I make it up as I go along. But he works hard, and he's capitalizing on his youth. So whatever we have, anybody has, capitalize on what you've actually got.
Yeah.
And youth and inexperience means, no, I'm not going to follow you. I want somebody who plays it safe, who's going to get me up there. He did it.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I love
it is
that.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, taking that risk, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
That sort of naive risk because you can't necessarily calculate the outcome. I love that. I think that's brilliant.
Exactly. And his father was completely correct. He said, look at your individuality. What have you got? What have you got? He said, I have nothing. I'm inexperienced and I'm 23. Who wants a young person like me?
Mm.
They all did. All did.
I love that.
Me too. I love that as well. Like that fabulous story I told you, Thor, about that young woman.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, I apparently, so I also read a story on, was it Instagram or Facebook somewhere yesterday, that actually the guy who created Kentucky Fried Chicken,
Yes.
he didn't start Kentucky Fried Chicken until he was like 60.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And now he's like, what, 88 and a billionaire?
Yeah.
And until he was 60, he was like a failure, quote unquote failure.
Yeah.
Until he was like 50, 60, and then he started Kentucky Fried Chicken, and then he became a billionaire. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is. Just shows you what society tells us we have to do in a certain period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Great. But if it doesn't happen to you, fine. Let's move on with it. Also, a lot of artists, because my daughter's sort of in the art community, a lot of the well-known artists at 70, all of a sudden they bloom.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. But we need those sort of stories to know that there's a time for everybody.
There is a time for everyone.
Yeah, to do something. And if we're not going to do something, then also accept it as a part of our path of life. And make the most of what we have. There's still a lot of people who don't have a roof over their head, that don't have enough to eat, who don't have eyesight or hearing, or all of those sort of things.
So what's the positive message for the week, Inez?
Well, I think you rounded that up. Follow your dreams. Have the faith that there is something there for everyone, and there is.
There is.
No one is here just by chance. Time is money, as they say, it's in the USA, but also from the power of spirit, the totalness of that, they don't waste time. Yeah. Nothing is just a waste. Every human being, every life, every struggle, there is a reason for it. There are no frivolities. We all have a very determined, positive reason.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Inez, for another week.
Thank you too.
For another podcast. And if you enjoy listening to our podcast, obviously subscribe, like, comment, and if you have any questions, always please send them in. Please. Yes.
Great.
Oh,
that's excellent. Thanks a lot. Take care. Woohoo.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.